The Atlanta Falcons are making a move, bringing in return specialist and special teams ace Jamal Agnew. Let's break down who he is, what he brings to the team, and why this signing makes sense for Atlanta. First, let's be clear. Agnew isn't coming in to play wide receiver even though he made that transition in the NFL. And he's not here to play defensive back, which is what he played coming out of college with the Detroit Lions. No, this move is about special teams, and Agnew looks like the Falcons' replacement for Avery Williams, who left for the Philadelphia Eagles in free agency. In other words, Atlanta just found its new kick returner. Agnew made the Pro Bowl in 2022 with the Jacksonville Jaguars as a return specialist. However, he didn't play in the 2024 regular season. After signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad in November, he never made it to the active roster or played in a game. And when he has been on the field in past seasons, his role on offense has been minimal. He started as a cornerback before switching to wide receiver, but even in 2023, his offensive snaps were limited. Just 9, 31, 10, 3, 20, and 29 in different games. Clearly, this isn't about giving Michael Penix Jr. another target in the passing game. It's all about special teams. This move also signals something bigger. The kick return rule, which was initially a one-year trial, is likely sticking around. More teams are prioritizing return specialists again, and the Falcons badly needed a spark in that area. They haven't had a returner who could flip the field consistently in quite some time. And financially, this is a low-risk signing. According to Mike Garafolo, it's a one-year deal worth up to $2.5 million, likely loaded with incentives. There's no guarantee Agnew even secures a roster spot. He'll have to earn it, but the upside is clear. If he can regain his Pro Bowl form, he could be a difference maker for Atlanta on special teams. As for free agency in general, the Falcons have been relatively quiet so far, but we'll get into that more in the next section. So far, the Atlanta Falcons haven't gone all in during free agency. The biggest signing so far has been Devin Diablo, who got a 2-year, $14 million deal. After that, they brought in Leonard Floyd for 1 year, $10 million. The most notable deal might be the Mike Hughes re-signing, but that's more about retaining him. Hughes is back with a 3-year, $18 million deal, but it's likely a 1-year, $9.6 million contract when you factor in guarantees. In general, the Falcons' offseason hasn't impressed many fans or analysts. The consensus seems to be that Atlanta hasn't spent enough to truly improve their defense. And while I've been a critic of this team in the past, I think there's a valid reason for not making big moves in free agency. There just weren't many great options at defensive end or outside linebacker. You could have signed Josh Sweat, who went to the Cardinals, but who's to say he would have wanted to come to Atlanta? Sometimes we assume players will take any offer, but Sweat might have preferred to reunite with his old coach, Jonathan Gannon, down in Arizona. The Falcons had a tough situation this offseason. They needed both a quarterback and a pass rusher. Imagine if they had entered this offseason needing both of those, plus more help at other spots. That would have been a disaster, and they would likely be picking first overall next year if that were the case. So, here's where the Falcons' defense stands right now. With the draft still ahead, things will definitely change, and new faces will be added. But there's a lot of work to do on this unit. One of the battles I'm most excited about is at inside linebacker, where Troy Anderson will compete with Divine Diablo. Diablo brings much-needed speed to the position, which will be a huge boost. Last year, the team was slowed down by players like Ellis and Landman, who often looked like they were running in concrete shoes. To continue the discussion about Troy Anderson, when he came back from his injury last season, it seemed like he had lost a step. So adding more speed at the inside linebacker position like Divine Diablo will be a huge benefit for the Falcons. As for Jamal Agnew, his role is clear. He's coming in as a special teams ace. Let's quickly review his career stats. Agnew has 4 punt return touchdowns and 2 kick return touchdowns. On average, he picks up 25.5 yards per kick return and just over 10 yards per punt return. These are solid numbers, and even though he didn't return a single kick last year, with the new kickoff rules in place, his opportunities should increase. Agnew is a valuable addition to the special teams unit. While I don't expect much from him on offense, that's perfectly fine. Special teams might not always get the recognition it deserves, but it plays a huge role in a game. If a key special teams mistake happens at the wrong moment, it can change everything, so having Agnew is a big win for the Falcons. Now let's talk about Atlanta's wide receiver room. I believe the team is probably more satisfied with this group than people realize. Casey Washington, a former Day 3 pick from Illinois, has high expectations heading into year 2. And the top 3 receivers all performed well last season, so I don't see them making many more moves here, whether through the draft or free agency. However, with Avery Williams leaving for the Eagles, the Falcons needed a new return man, and Jamal Agnew is the perfect fit for that role. Finally, how would I grade Atlanta's free agency so far? I'm giving them a C, and I think that's generous. It's important to remember that grading free agency or the draft can be pretty useless before players even step onto the field. After all, how can you fairly grade moves for players who haven't played a single snap yet? Not every team has the resources to land an A-grade free agency. Take the draft, for example. If you don't have a first-round pick, it's tough to land a blue-chip player. And in free agency, if you didn't have a lot to spend or make any major signings, it's hard to get a high grade. But just because Atlanta didn't make a big splash doesn't mean they failed. They didn't have a lot of money to work with, and there wasn't anyone really worth spending big on. So a C grade isn't disrespectful at all. It reflects that there just wasn't a lot of value available at the positions they needed, so there was no point in rushing into big signings just for the sake of it, which could end up being a regret in the long run. I never thought I'd be defending the Falcons for not getting more pass rushers, but the truth is, there weren't many good options out there. Thankfully, they were able to bring in Leonard Floyd, so they didn't leave the position untouched. Thanks for tuning into our breakdown of this signing. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any updates. See you next time.